Hello. Today we have one of our amazing interviewees who's going to be answering specific questions that were highlighted in her specific interview. This question now is very connected to the study and really is the centerpiece of the study, and that looks at success. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, how do you define success? And if you could share some of your successes and just talk to us about those.
Mm-hmm. Typically, when people discuss, I feel like when they discuss the success, they put a lot of ownership on like things that they have, the material things that they have, and things that they have accomplished, and that's okay. Like, I do think that I am successful in being able to graduate from college and have my own things. I do think that is successful, but I don't put the things that I've accomplished, I don't attribute them to myself. Because if I didn't have, number one, just this Islamically, like I'm not trying to attribute anything to myself, because everything that I have, Allah has blessed me with those things. Right. But then two, my support system. If I didn't have, my mom and my dad and my friends and my family, I don't think that I would be able to, I would say, like, do my thing. Because some people, I would say that, like, what's the quote? Like, it takes a village to raise a child. And I believe that, right? Some people be like, oh no, I did it by myself. I don't need nobody. Nope. Right. Nope, I can't, I would be impossible for me to do the things that I'm able to do if I didn't have the support. So I think for me, part of that being success is being able to have like good people in my corner, to cheer me on, to encourage me, to keep pushing me to do the things that I want to do. And sometimes I don't know what it is that I would like want to do next, I would say. But whenever I have an idea in my head, like, aside from praying about if this is right for me, but just to, when I present it to my folks, right, they're able to, back me up and support me for whatever it is that I need them to do. So that's a blessing in itself. And, my mom is a huge part of that, because aside from her not like giving in to like the things always that I like want, when she's able to like visualize, sometimes when I tell her that I'm going to do something, she's like, oh, okay. And then when I like put it into like action, she's like, oh, okay, well, what you need me to do, right? Because sometimes people can't like see it. And I'll be completely honest. Sometimes when I do things, or when I have an idea, I don't tell her. In the beginning, I kind of like wait until I'm like halfway done. Right. And then I'm like, oh, Mom, like I'm doing this thing right now. And then she's like, okay. And then she still probably can't see it, right? But I think that her being able to like, once I'm like there and she can see it, right, she's able to like get behind whatever it is that I'm trying to do. So, she is. And then my dad, obviously, like he's not able to like rally behind me how he probably would want to or like to, but like I can tell him in the beginning stages of like Nori Single Collar, like, oh, I'm about to write a book. And he's like, oh, word, what you about to do? But my mom is like, now I'm gonna do these illustrations and then like let her see the visual and then I'll tell her, so, but they just support me differently in, just the things that they do. So it's not, I don't attribute success to me. Right. But do I think that I'm successful? Yes.
And so what would be some of those things that make you believe you're successful? I know there's many that you can name, but if you could just share a few with us and talk to us about them.
Okay. So one of the things would be graduating college. In my mom's family, the first person to graduate from college was my mom. And then the second is me. So I think that alone is me being successful on a collegiate level. Me graduating by the time I was 23 and had my master's degree. That was something that was big for me. Being able to take care of myself, right? Like being able to stand on my own 2 feet and take care of myself is definitely successful. Me, and I have this little book here.
Oh, wow.
Nori Single Collar, which is my first children's book, which to me was bigger than like graduating college. Like,
Wow.
I don't want to say like everybody graduate college, but like everybody graduate college. But like everybody don't write a book. You know, so now that I have the book, and last Friday I just released the coloring book.
Oh wow.
So now I have the coloring book. So this is like top running and is my successes. I guess me going to college and me having my degree allows me to pay my bills and all of that stuff. But like me being able to like really do this and have the vision for it, execute it, and see how many people support me really with it. Like how many people have purchased the book, how many people came to the book signing, like all of that stuff was like really dope. Like I haven't like opened the slot for the book signing for like 200 people. And at first I only was gonna do like 50. And then it was like, oh no, you can't add any more people. And I was like, oh wait, I gotta increase. I increased it like 4 times. Like the capacity of like how many people I was gonna be able to have at the book signing. So that's my biggest success, I would say, is my book.
Of course. And what would you say was your first step towards success? So if you think about it as a pathway and, you know, kind of one foot following the other, what was the first step that you feel that you took towards success?
I don't think that I took the step. I think that, like I said before with my mom, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really have a choice but to like be successful in a sense. Like failure was like not an option. Like from being in school and getting grades, like getting a C was not an option. Like none of that stuff was options in my mother's household. So I never like had a choice but not to be successful. And she's always told me, and she'll still tell me now, like, look, I only got one kid. I only got one chance to get this right, you know? So I would say that my mother took the first step in me being successful of not like letting me kind of like do whatever I wanted to do or just staying on top of me, especially when it comes to my academics. Like, so I would attribute that to her, not to me.
Wow, that's very powerful. There's so many people that struggle with this concept of success. And, you know, there is this status quo definition that you kind of talked about in the beginning, you know, graduating school and, you know, going on to college and getting, you know, a reputable job. And we all know that those things are important. When it comes to children that are dealing with parental incarceration, do you think that they should define success for themselves similar to the way you've done? Or do you think they should focus kind of on the status quo definition of success?
No, I think that like when you do what other people like want you to do or have this like perception of what you should do, then sometimes you may not like be happy. And I think that like it's important for us to like do what makes us happy. Like whatever that is, like you may not make a lot of money, you know, doing whatever it is, like, but that's what you love, right? And that's what you enjoy doing. So you're going to be successful in doing that versus like you're doing something that you really don't want to do. Like I was just reading, me and my friends were just reading this book called Such a Fun Age. And we talked about like how she was 25 at the time and all of her friends were like making like $55,000 and, you know, getting all of these raises in their jobs in their fields. And she was a babysitter. But she was really good at being a babysitter. Like, so to me, I'm like, it don't really matter. Like, she shouldn't be mad about like what her friends are doing because she is really good at what she does. Like, that makes her happy. Her taking care of that little 3-year-old kid makes her happy.
Right.
So, and that she was successful in her job.
Right.
And, you know, she never strived to like do what they do or try to do it, you know, get what they had because she was happy in being a babysitter. Right.
Right. Yeah, and it sounds kind of like, you know, finding your passion. Do you have any advice on how one goes about finding their passion, specifically when you have a parent that's in prison? You know, like you sometimes feel like you're missing an individual. You may feel like you can't, you know, share or put certain things on them. How do you navigate through that in order to assure that you are getting at the heart of your passion?
So for me, I definitely would say, and this could be like me just being unique in my circumstance, and then in my relationship with my father. But I never like looked at him being away as being something that like hindered me. Like I never like felt like I can't do this, or like it's impossible for me to do this because of like I don't have my dad, or like, you know, my mom is, you know, by herself taking care. I never like had that like feeling that I couldn't do something because of like the situation. But I will say that going back to like having a support system,
Right.
you know, like even if he's not present, I still have people who could rally behind me and support me and encourage me, you know?
Yeah.
So
That piece is the important part. Yeah, that definitely does make sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think success is a difficult concept because you could all read the Webster's dictionary of, you know, how individuals define it. But if you can't sleep at night, you can't necessarily interpret their definition or your own. So I think everything that you shared is definitely useful. And I'm hoping that our viewers are able to pull out the gems, you know, in terms of how you just shared, how you don't put it on yourself, how you put it outside of yourself and your faith, and realistically in those individuals that help to shape you, because that actually paves the path that you end up walking down. Even though you make decisions on that path, you know, oftentimes the parents are carving out a path, and it is definitely cushioned in one's belief system. So thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.